Hello and welcome to 9-inch Charge. Welcome back to another episode of the 2Dannys, where me and Dan just chat nonsense about the hobby for 10 or 15 minutes and then go down the pub.
And why not?
And why not indeed? So I put up something on the community 2 days ago, and it said, recording some more 2Dannys pre-pub chats on Tuesday. Is there anything you'd like us to cover? And then I included this wonderful picture of us both with a pint in hand down the pub. And we did get some responses. So Adrian said, I'd love to join you guys, enjoy. But we did talk about this, didn't we? We did say, if you would like to see a live 2Dannys down Bugman's Bar, drinking Bugman 6X and just chatting Warhammer until the wee hours, let us know. And when we next go up to Warhammer World, we'll try our best to make it happen.
Would it be inappropriate to start a Patreon for people to fund such a trip?
Maybe we should do it in a Wetherspoons, because you can order beer to people's table on the app. And if you want,
yeah.
And it will cost you one beer for us to answer your question.
That would be great. I think we'd sitting there very sober.
Yeah, probably. So we had a reply from Ian, and Ian has said, I'd love to hear your opinion about building armies according to playability versus lore. So what's your take, Dan?
So I think myself, I like to build a collection to the lore, but then for my army lists, more around playability, I think. So I love the lore. I think the lore's ace, and I love the idea of building, to it like a storm host as a storm host. Although I think you see less definitive than you used to of like what's actually in each kind of segment. But when it comes to playability, I think the reason I build the list towards playability is because when you and I play, we like to have an even match, and we like to, we are playing to have fun, but also to try and win. And it's no good rocking up with, the fluffiest army in the world and it just getting pounded off the table, because that's no fun.
Do you remember that game where you said to me,
"Come in, I know what's coming."
Where you said, "Oh, we always play the same kind of list and we always do the same kind of stuff. Why don't we do something a bit different?" And I brought along like something like the 6 Ender spells, some Underworld war bands, and just some bits and bobs that I would never field, and they'd never see the light of day because they're not the most sort of competitive build that we would normally be playing for. I turn up at Dan's house. The table is already set up. On the table are 3 Bloodthirsters.
In the Tyrants of Blood when it was still. In my defense, I hadn't used that before. It was ridiculous. Oh dear.
I was thinking about how you might answer, and I think the thing about the way you have your collection, because you like to have something of everything, that kind of leaves you open to do whatever you would like then, because you could have a really fluffy 3 Bloodthirster themed list, or you could have something else because you've got the whole collection, because you enjoy every aspect of the faction that you collect.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like to be able to do like mortals or demons as well. It's quite good. I mean, I know, ever the person not to have a strong opinion about something, but again, it really does come down to what you're trying to achieve out of the game you're going to play. It's no good going to a tournament with and wanting to place highly and not taking a list that can do so. But then equally, if you go to a narrative event, and rock up with an optimized list, that's not going to be much fun, is it? One way or the other. I think I'm trying to think really. I mean, my corner, obviously, my biggest collection. and they are the biggest collection because I just really like the model range. And like you say, I like to have a bit of this and a bit of that. And also in my head, I have a visual like, what does this army look like as a horde? That's a really big thing for me. So like, I've got 105 or 110 painted Blood Reavers, which is insane. But it's because in the lore, they're like the most numerous of the Force. So I want to have loads of them. You know, that wasn't anything to do with wanting to play with 110 Blood Reavers, because to be honest, I just get bored moving them.
I think for me, it's no secret that I love Wood Elves, and it's no secret that I love the Living City, because that's where the Wanderers live, and they're the faction that I like. I prefer the elf part of the Wood Elf faction to the Forest Spirit, so I still have collected Cities of Sigmar all the way, and I've become really invested in the lore of the Cities of Sigmar. I think the book is fantastic because it gives you lots of different options. So I've chosen quite firmly to go down the path of Living Cities, and I think that because I love the lore of the Living Cities and how it works, and I want to include Wanderer units in there, you know, in whatever way that I can. And I've kind of pushed myself to have the most competitive list of that type, because I just wouldn't enjoy it if it wasn't that type of army. So there are more competitive builds. There are probably more competitive builds of Living Cities. There's definitely more competitive armies. They're not, Cities of Sigmar isn't a top tier book. It's kind of middle range. But of the kind of army that I take, according to the narrative that I enjoy, I try to max it out. And sometimes I take the occasional go trick.
There's a lot to be said for that approach, taking go trick. Now, like, what I think is really cool, as much as sometimes, not that I've got a lot at the moment because I cut it off, I'm pulling my hair out because I'm just like, I just want Dan to do something new and exciting and jump in like a loony. But actually, I really respect that you've got a really clear like force, and you've it's a bit like supporting a football team through the highs and the lows, isn't it?
It's it's a good job I support Plymouth Argyle, isn't it? Because it just gears you up for like,
it's so funny that they're known as the Green Army and you're a Wood Elf madman. But you know, you've played Wood Elves forever and a day through the good times and the bad times. You know.
Mostly the bad times.
Yeah.
But I do love them. And it's funny as well because you can also do things like, so something that I've done is the oh bloody hell, what they called it? It's been my army, the Sneaky High Elves, the Shadow Warriors. I don't have Shadow Warriors, do I? I have Way Watchers, and they have the Shadow Warrior War Scroll.
Yeah, and I love that. I think that's great. I mean, you know, even when like your model range was decimated, you got no book, you know, you were lumped in with all the humans in Age of Sigmar, you still came out with like a cool, you know, Wood Elfy themed list. Do you remember when you did the Celestial Hurricanum, but it wasn't a Celestial Hurricanum, it was like a big waystone with stuff.
Yeah, it took me ages. So I don't know if I've got a picture of it. I might just have to describe it, but I had my my spell singer, and the model for the spell singer is kind of raised up anyway, like they're levitating, and then behind her I sculpted a waystone, and then I got some wire and I swirled it around the waystone and then threaded stones into the wire, so it looked like all these stones were like lifting up around it, and then I got the hanging vines that Games Workshop did and stuff like that, and I made that so that because I wanted a Celestial Hurricanum in the army for match play reasons, but I still wanted to retain the theme and look of the army for the narrative and for the lore. So that was my happy medium. I just had to make one because there was no way I was going to have something clad in twin-tailed comets being pulled by armored war horses because that just wouldn't fit the theme. So yeah, so I had to make one, which I took for a little while. And sometimes this is kind of the way that you have to go if you want to stick to your theme. But converting is really cool, and I think people do appreciate it. I know I appreciate a converted army, and that's something that you notice a big difference if you go to a matched play tournament and then you go to a narrative tournament. And a lot of match play tournaments, you get this kind of, you'll get a slap chop paint job or contrasted or rushed onto the tabletop. Whereas if you go to a narrative game, it's people a bit more like myself who've had collected the same force for a long time and taken it with them and added things in and converted things, and you get a little bit of a difference. But it is a fine line to tread. I would just say that for me, if I was to kind of conclude what I was trying to say or summarize it, I would say that I can't enjoy playing an army that I'm not invested in terms of the lore and the story. So I have to pigeonhole myself a bit, and then I will try and be as competitive as I can with what I've got.
I tell you what does irritate me a lot on this subject is when the lore is sacrificed for the rules. I get so frustrated. I think a big one for me is like the War Shrine of Chaos. Now, it's a personal thing because I have one.
How many times are we going to talk about the War Shrine of Chaos?
Every time, mate. So when it changed and they took away like its ability to interact with the other, it changed from influencing Khorne mortals or Tzeentch mortals or whatever mortals to slaves to darkness, in as opposed to mortals, and that just frustrated me because I'm like, it's a whopping great symbol of Khorne marching around. It's clearly gonna influence these blood reavers to be livid or angry or do something, you know. And that just irritated me because it just didn't make sense in my head anyway. Yeah, I don't like that. You do see it. I'm sure there are other examples. I just can't think of them off the top of my head.
There's loads. Why are skinks deal so much more damage than the actual big dinosaurs? You know, there's things like this, aren't there? So there are lots of examples of it.
So the big one, and I appreciate this is like heresy because this is not, you know, this is old world and Age of Sigmar, but why can a Primaris Space Marine not get in a Land Raider?
Because he's too big.
What, to get in the door?
Yeah, but he'd bang his head. You know what health and safety regulations are like. They're going to have to put a bit of foam up and hazard signs and say, you know, watch your head and all this sort of stuff. And
did that, and that is actually very true, isn't it? Health and safety. That's why. Because health and safety.
Well, people say, and I don't think they say it rightly, because I think you should always try and make sure people aren't, you know, as much as there is common sense involved, you should try and safeguard people's lives. But people say, don't they, these days, oh, health and safety's gone too far. Imagine what it's like in the 41st millennium.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Power armor is just what you need to wear to go out the front door in the 41st millennium.
Yeah. That is some full-on PPE, isn't it? That is what that is.
That's what Sigmarite armor is.
Yeah.
They've had to sacrifice the whole old world and extract its molten core so that they can have some high-class PPE.
They're the evolution of the HSE Stormcast Eternals, aren't they?
There we are. And on that bombshell, I think we are done for today. Well, thank you very much for watching, everybody. If you have any topics that you'd like us to cover, let us know in the comments. Please let us know what you thought about today's topic. Let us know about how you go for narrative versus competitive or match play. And be sure to drop the video a like and subscribe if you'd like to see more.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. There we go. Thank you very much for watching. Please be sure to leave a comment and let me know what you think. I do read every single comment. If you've enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like, and if you'd like to see more content like this in the future, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you'd like to take the conversation even further, you can join the 9-inch Charge Hobby Hangout group on Facebook. This is a place for us to come together as a community and encourage each other and chat about our hobby, and feel free to share your models, thoughts, ideas, or ask any questions that you may have. There's a link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can find a link in the description to our Patreon page, or you could become a YouTube member. And you can also support the channel by using the affiliate link we have to Element Games. They have a really extensive hobby range. I'm sure you can find anything that you're looking for on there, and they also sell it at a discount to Games Workshop. And if you use the affiliate link, we get a small amount of commission back that we can use to put back into the channel. As ever, this has been 9-inch Charge. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you next time.